Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Hare and Forbes Machinery House, Pace Farm, Hero Hoists, and Martin's Panel Masters. Hello and welcome to today's show. This episode is about aholics. Well, we know there's shopaholics and there's chocoholics, but today it's classic car and parts aholics. And the reason for this serious addiction? Well, I'm about to show you just some of the largest swap meet in the world here in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And of course, this return trip to the United States of America is a big thanks to Shannons. With the legendary Hershey factory just a quarter of a mile away, the distinctive odour of freshly poured chocolate wafts over the field, mixed with a distinctive whiff of oil and gasoline. An annual pilgrimage for the last 60 years for die-hard enthusiasts chasing that lost part, or just ready to experience the thrill of the impulsive purchase. Like kids around the tree at Christmas, every October, old car enthusiasts converge on Hershey, Pennsylvania for this mammoth 4-day Antique Automobile Club of America Eastern Division National Fall Meet. This is simply known as Hershey. Even if you don't speak English, it's the world's largest old car flea market, dropping like a blanket over 85 acres at Hershey Park. This car and parts fest quenches the largest automotive thirsts, providing more than 9,000 vendor spaces, scattered aimlessly in no particular order. Hershey is an endless swap meet, overflowing with old cars, new and used parts, rusted sheet metal, memorabilia, and petrol-related merchandise. This is the event where guys can't leave the wives at home because they want to come along too. Every time I buy a flea at a flea market, I lose the damn thing. But something bought from Hershey holds a special place in every collector's and enthusiast's garage, as everything here is waiting to be discovered. Moving through the amazing swap meet here at Hershey for 2018. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing great, Fletch. How are you doing?
Great. Look, I had to pick on you. You've got junk all over the place here, and you're doing such a good job.
Well, it's a hurricane sale now.
We had terrible rain yesterday. Strong winds today, but it's not enough to dampen the enthusiasm or keep the diehards away, is it?
Well, you have to stay till Saturday when the big car show is, so you've got to be here anyway. You may as well keep doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. Today, Friday, the swap meet. Tomorrow, emphasis on the cars, which is going to be on next week's Classic Restos. Now, Joe, what's going on here? You've got the front cowling of a car there that I haven't seen before. You've got wheels going on here. You've got tyres. Wow.
My son came with me, and he started looking at the parts and said, we can make a car. And so he put this little thing together, and it's actually the radiator shell of a Model 30 or 30 horsepower Maxwell. It's the hood of a 22 horsepower Maxwell, some Model A parts, and just a little bit of everything. And as far as the rest of it, we've had cars for decades, and we had all this stuff sitting in our basement. And I said, it's not doing any good here. We need to push it. Let's just load the car trailer full of parts and bring them to get rid of them. And we've been pretty successful, but you wouldn't know it looking around here. Looks like there's still a carload.
Yeah, it looks like you haven't sold a thing, right?
Right.
Okay, now those dashboard facades that you have over there, they look familiar. What do they suit? What model car?
I think what I have sitting out there is a 1940 Cadillac.
Where do you get this stuff over the years? Like these Firestone tyres here, for example. How do you stumble across those?
Well, my son has a 1910 Maxwell 30 horsepower, 26-inch wheels. Those are 26-inch tires. And so I picked them up along the way. And he rotated around where he wasn't really using them. So we thought we'd see if somebody else needed them.
That's wonderful. This is the whole thing, isn't it? You know, somebody's junk is another guy's treasure. Joe, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, Fletch, I'm glad you made it here, and come again.
Thank you very much. Good on you. It's time for Ken now. How are you?
Just fine. How are you, Fletch?
I'm going well. I'm a little bit fascinated by all these early type shock absorbers that you have here. What's the story here?
Oh, they were on early Fords, Mercuries, and some Lincoln Continentals, Lincoln Zippers.
Ken, I've never seen so many all in one place.
I've just accumulated them through the years, and I don't know, I just sort of got into it, looking for my old car. I sort of got into buying a few old shocks up, and sort of enjoyed it,
Obviously they're all reconditioned.
Some are new old stock, some are rebuilt, and some are just good shocks, old shocks.
New old stock. So what years are we talking here?
Basically 38 through 48.
These are interesting. The very first form really of shock absorbers. And there's quite a bit of resistance, isn't there, when you go to move that lever, and working on a similar principle with the oil inside as our vertical shocks.
Right. That's right.
This is just a little bit of an idea as to what you'll find here at the Hershey Swap Meet. It's all that impulsive stuff that you wouldn't even dream of, and you're walking along and you find stuff like this on Ken's table. Ken, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Fletch. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
My passion for cars began when Nana and Pop bought their new Toyota Crown. It was Nana's, really. She loved that car. We went everywhere in it. My passion now is just the same, even though my cars are a little different. I've still got Nana's car, couldn't part with it. And I reckon if she was here today, she'd be insured with Shannons too.
Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
In 2019, why not consider a Detroit tour with Fletch? Detroit, the automotive epicenter. It will leave you gobsmacked. Imagine experiencing where automotive history on a grand scale began. Stay in fine accommodation, taking in some of the best museums and private car collections on the planet. Book your 2019 Detroit tour with Fletch. 1300 146 392. Hare & Forbes Machinery House has been family owned and operated for over 85 years, and it's easy to see why. Planning on welding? Look at these welding tables and clamps, air compressors and different air tools, sandblasting cabinets, through to spray guns. Everyone is welcome at Machinery House. There are competitive freight rates around Australia, and you can buy online at machineryhouse.com.au. So remember, Hare & Forbes has the range. How would you like to double your garage space and work on your cars easily? Well, bring in your own hero with a Lift King hoist. Easy to install models in 1, 2 and 4 post styles. Check the very nifty Spider 2500 portable mini scissor lift. Hero hoists are either Oz certified or carry the Euro CE, your guarantee of quality construction and reliability. I regularly stand under my Lift King, so when you need a bit of a lift, why don't you go stand under yours? Time now for DJ. How you doing?
Pretty good, Fletch. How are you?
Good, good. You know what? This would have to go down, I think, so far as one of the most dramatic displays here at Hershey. This is incredible what you've got here.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, well, look, we've got car bodies, we've got doors, we've got fenders, we've got hoods, we've got springs over there. Where did you get this stuff from?
Oh, mostly out west, Colorado, California area.
How many years have you been collecting it for?
Oh, basically my whole life. My dad and grandpa used to do it back in the day. They used to restore Model A's back in Minnesota.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is just a bunch of stuff that's left over from all those decades that they collected?
Not all of it's left over, but we hunt this stuff down and find as much as we can.
So DJ, what are the main years that you have parts for to covering those periods?
Oh, anywhere from early tees up into the 50s and 60s now. And it covers all models that we can find.
So you get a lot of call from guys that want to get those bodies there and they want to maybe cut them and chop them for hot rods and all that sort of thing, or to go the other way and go back to original?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, anything and everything nowadays they seem to want to do. Yeah.
Is this stuff, I mean, it doesn't look like it, but is this stuff drying up? Is it slowly getting harder to find?
It is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it either rusts away or people, use it and they make a hot rod out of it or restore it, and then they only made so many of these things. So
When you stop and think about every part that's here belonging to a car, once upon a time, that vehicle drove out of a dealership. It's a little hard to comprehend, isn't it?
yeah, everything had a story. If we only knew all the little stories that they had, it'd be pretty interesting.
The people that bought them, the people that drove them, the places that they went.
Yeah.
If they could only talk.
Right? Yeah, it'd be pretty cool.
DJ, over the years, tell us a unique story. A story of maybe obtaining a car. What comes to mind?
We did a trade one time for a 32 Ford two-door up in the mountains in Colorado where we were from. And then just driving in the mountains and seeing the people up there, it's pretty unique. And we helped him. He took it off of his frame, and then we switched it around. We had our own frame there too. Yeah. So that was a pretty fun trip.
You're obviously set up somewhere. What part of the United States are you from?
Colorado.
Okay. And you ship the parts all over the United States?
Yep, all over the United States and worldwide too. Really? Yeah. Yep.
What's the name of your business?
Rocky Mountain Relics.
There you go.
Yep.
Well, there you go, Rocky Mountain Relics. How cool is this? It's the sort of, display that DJ has where you just walk around. It's entertainment. You don't know what you're going to see next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we try and keep it interesting.
Good on you, DJ. Nice catching up with you.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you, and I hope you do well this weekend. You certainly have a display that entices the people to want to stop and walk around. All right, DJ, you keep up the great work, buddy.
All right, thanks you too, Fletch.
Now, this episode of Classic Restos, well, we're emphasising the swap meet here at Hershey. There's also a classic car section in the car corral, and you'll see that on next week's episode. But in the meantime, I just had to throw this vehicle into the mix. Now, Phil, a 1938 Vagabond, correct?
Correct. It's a 1938 Reo Tractor with a Curtis Aerocar, 1938, made by Curtis Aviation, and that's the tractor side or the trailer side of it.
Okay, so how many in the world are we talking?
Okay, there's only one of the Reos, and there's probably 20 or some Vagabonds left, Aerocars left in the world. Although that is, I think, considered the largest one.
Now, Phil, this particular one, though, is the only one?
It's the only one. It was built in 1938. It was designed as a unit in 1937. And as I said, the Aerocar was built by Curtis Aviation. The chassis was built for the tractor by Reo. Yep. And the body was built by a company called Standard Carriage Works in California, custom coach work. They did Duesenberg bodies and things of that nature. And so that's how it was all put together as one.
Phil, the styling of the thing, it looks like something out of a theme park that you'd take a ride on.
Well, there was a lot of excitement back in the 30s with the Art Deco movement. The neoclassical streamliners were being used, drawn from the airplanes. They were trying to transfer it into the trucking and automotive industry, and so this is kind of an Art Deco styling, and quite unique.
Now, 1938, the streamlining, the styling is amazing, as you've alluded to. But what we need to know now from you, Phil, is what type of person would have wanted such a vehicle and why, and what did they use it for?
Okay, well, this was actually built in California and designed in California by a gentleman named Eaton, who was the founder of the Forest Lawn Memorial Gardens, where all the celebrities are buried. And he took that, the concept of real estate development, and he would go North California, South California, and he would take his board of directors and his investors up and down the California coast looking at real estate. And they were wealthy gentlemen, and they wanted the best of the best. And they also wanted to be known as forward thinkers, and that's how it came about.
So this is before the time of personal helicopters,
Oh, yes.
Learjets,
Right,
all that type
right.
of thing.
Which
This
you
was
would
an
look at.
exclusive way to travel.
Right. I was in development real estate for my life, and we would go up in helicopters and we would look down and we would look at properties and see, the flows of the land, the transportation, traffic patterns, and all. They didn't have that, but they had this.
We look in the rear of the thing, the styling. It looks like a first-class area of a very early aircraft.
Yes. It was designed by the Aerocar was designed by Curtiss. Curtiss built by Curtiss Aviation. So Glenn Curtiss was, an aviation pioneer.
Okay, now what powers the thing, Phil?
Okay. It has, originally, when it was new, it had a white 12-cylinder, what they called a pancake motor. It laid horizontal. And that gave up the ghost in 1953, and they replaced it with a 6-cylinder Cummins, also a pancake motor, supercharged, because it was actually a working truck all of its life, from 1938 all the way up to 1991, when they took it out of service. Again, the original owners, ship and everything. They kept it off the road until 1998. They donated it to the Peterson Museum. And it stayed there kind of hidden in plain sight in a parking garage. It went to a few shows and a few other museums for temporary displays, but they didn't promote it or anything like that.
Now this trip I'm with Mark from Shannons, and Mark brought it to my attention. It's so right. We did a Detroit episode with bubble cars, and there was a scarab in there. They were themed off an insect. I can't help but look at this styling and think of the scarab.
Yes, that was the Stout Scarab. And the Stout Scarab, the Dynaxamon, the Zephyr land yacht, they were all kind of designed with the airplane mode and the aerodynamics. They were taking the influences of the airplanes back in the 30s and 40s and 50s.
Phil, it's been absolutely amazing talking to you. Thank you so much for your time here today at the Hershey Swap Meet for 2018.
Well, Fletch, thank you very much for having me and recognizing a wonderful piece of automotive history.
My pleasure. Thank you, Phil.
Every weekend around Australia, motoring enthusiasts get together to share their passion for cars and bikes. It's a passion that brings us together. All sorts of people, all sorts of cars and bikes, from the classics of today to the classics of tomorrow. At Shannons, we understand enthusiasts, so when it comes to insurance, it's got to be Shannons. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 13 46 46 for a quote.
In 2019, why not consider a Detroit tour with Fletch? Detroit, the automotive epicenter. It will leave you gobsmacked. Imagine experiencing where automotive history on a grand scale began. Stay in fine accommodation, taking in some of the best museums and private car collections on the planet. Book your 2019 Detroit tour with Fletch. 1300 146 392. If you have a restoration project, Hare and Forbes has the tools that you need. Shrinker stretchers, dollies, mallets, bead rollers, profile gauges, professional panel restoration kits, and so much more. Now I warn you, enter at your own risk because you will end up buying something. So come along to your Cap City store or browse and buy online at machineryhouse.com.au because Hare and Forbes has the range. Martin's Panel Masters has 3 modern accident repair centres. They service Melbourne's inner, outer east and the fast-growing southeast corridor. Your vehicle will receive the best from state-of-the-art repair equipment finished beautifully from computer-based paint mixing systems, finished in Australian compliant spray booths. Martin's Panel Masters, located at Ferntree Gully and Berwick, also Box Hill Panels. Okay, how you doing, Leisha?
I'm doing great today, Fletch. How are you?
Good, thank you. You're all set up here. You got some bits and pieces going on.
We do. Yes, we do.
These crank handles here, what an assortment.
We have an awesome assortment of all different styles. Guys and gals like to come and they like to just go right through them and see what they can find.
So, through the eyes of yourself here, what do you think of the Hershey Swap Meet? Do you look upon it as bling, or do you look upon it as just a massive assortment of right across the whole gamut of almost anything possible?
Well, what's nice with Hershey, Fletch, is that it has this huge assortment, as you can see, of old and new, and it attracts both men and women.
Yeah. Well, this display here, you could almost be called a crank.
Yes, and I've been known to be that once in a while, Fletch.
Well, as long as you've got a handle on it.
I got a lot of handles on it.
I thought I'd just wind her up a bit. All right. Now, it's getting worse. Now, we look along the line. Those bar stools, they're really cool. What's the story there? Where did they come from, Leisha?
Well, my husband originally purchased them for our home. We have a house that we restored from the 1920s, and he originally brought those home and said, hey, I'd like to somehow incorporate this into our decor. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. We didn't have quite the space that we needed. So here they are. Been looked at quite a bit. Still here, though. But they're definitely, hopefully somebody else can love them like we did.
One thing about setting stuff up for a swap meet, it's not over until the Sunday afternoon, right? So at the last moment, you don't know what you're going to sell.
Exactly. And I guess, as my husband would say, that's the thrill of it. That's the thrill of the hunt.
Okay, Leisha, been a pleasure catching up, and I hope the next couple of days is kind to you here and you offload most of your stuff here.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure, Fletch.
Moving through the grounds here at Hershey, the stuff everywhere is unbelievable. How you doing, John?
All right, Fletch, how are you?
Good.
Enjoying the grounds?
I am enjoying the grounds.
Yeah, nice.
How about you?
Yeah, it's been a beautiful day and a lot of customers. Things have been pretty great.
Great. How many years have you been coming to Hershey?
Oh, since probably about 40. About 40, yeah.
One thing about this event, I'm amazed getting around talking to the regulars here, how many years people have been coming to this event. It is the largest swap meet in the world. It's so iconic, John, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Fletch. It's the biggest and best.
Now, what you've got here, it's just, you don't know what you're going to find. Now, you've got a lot of bright work, a lot of shiny stuff here. It looks great. You've got a lot of NOS as well.
Yeah, a lot of NOS. Yeah. A lot of NOS, mostly Chevrolet, or all GM lines I try to cover. Never know what to bring because they want to buy. They come from all over the country looking for all kind of odd stuff.
That was actually my next question. Like, how do you know what to bring to the swap meet?
Well, I really don't know what to bring anymore. I just kind of get a load.
So the best you can do is take their name and their details and help them out once you get back.
Yeah, I just kind of throw in older stuff because Hershey's mostly older stuff. And when I get a load, I'm done.
Well, I guess with the sales too, John, you don't know where they're going to come from. There could be some Pontiac stuff or some Oldsmobile stuff that sells like that, and other stuff that you might think sells sits.
Don't know what to bring, but you kind of bring kind of basic stuff that'll be of interest to somebody.
You just got to sell what you brung.
Bright, shiny stuff. That's what they like.
Absolutely. Now, this weekend so far, is there such a thing as a run-on stuff? What type of stuff sells a lot?
Well, it's the Chevrolet stuff.
Okay, run through some of the trim items that you have.
Well, I've got new old stock Chevrolet parts from the 40s to the 70s. And I try to bring a little bit of each year just to cover all bases.
And that's the era too, isn't it? From the 40s to the 70s.
Good. All the years are good, Fletch. Yeah, they're all good.
John, that's wonderful. Thanks for catching up. It's treasure hunt stuff. That's what Hershey's all about, isn't it?
Fletch.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay. Good luck, everybody.
Thank you. That's very nice, John. Well done. I hope you do well here for 2018.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, that's it. Time's up for this week's show. You know, all I can say is that if you ever want to treat yourself to one of the most incredible swap meets and you happen to be on the eastern side of the United States of America, it just has to be Hershey. And there's so much other really cool stuff to do here in this beautiful part of Pennsylvania. I'm also pleased that you've seen a little of Hershey for 2018 first on Classic Restos. Now, on next week's show, I'm going to take you down to the car corral and show you what's happening down around there. Until then, no matter where you're watching the show from, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch, and I thank you very much for watching. You can like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/ClassicRestosTV and watch catch-up episodes at shannons.com.au. Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Hare and Forbes Machinery House, Pace Farm, Hero Hoists, and Martin's Panel Masters.